Hi everyone, welcome back to the TTYL podcast. My name is Sarah and today I am the only host because unfortunately Adrian is a little bit sick. Man, I feel like we both have been just going through it because like one of us is always sick or out of town or something. But you know what? I'm proud of us for sticking through with it and doing some solo pods once in a while. But anyways, as you may notice, for those of you watching the video, I am in my new apartment, my new room. It is almost done being set up. I have still some random things that I have to put up and I'm still trying to figure out how to best decorate the place, and I kind of want to get like some kind of shelf above my bed or just like some kind of decoration here because it is so plain. But yeah, otherwise it's been very cozy and I love my space so much. But anyways, today I thought I would talk about kind of like a letter to my early 20s, just advice and life lessons that I've learned over the past couple years that either my younger self, it would have been helpful to know, or honestly, these are probably still things that I need to tell myself today, every single day. But we're going to be talking about mental maintenance, dating, things that I tolerated in my early 20s that I no longer would now. We're going to be talking about isolation and asking for help, the infamous C word, communication, and also holding on to hope, because that is actually a huge thing in life. So without further ado, let's get into it. Let's start with mental maintenance. I wanted to talk about this particularly because I feel like now it is July and oh wait, no, it's literally August now. This entire year of 2025, I could probably tell you the amount of times that I've worked out on both of my hands because I just have not been prioritizing that for so long. And I feel like since pretty much spring or like pretty early into the year, I just feel like a chicken with my head cut off, running around, like getting my life together, not having time to like relax and rest and whatever that even means. And I feel like now it's really catching up to me. Like I feel so, I don't even know, like sad and like hopeless, purposeless. I don't know if it's like a quarter life crisis part 2 kind of thing, just really going through it. And then I took a minute to reflect and be like, okay, if I went to see a therapist or a doctor or like my friends or my boyfriend, like what would they tell me? And I feel like the first things they would ask is just like, well, how's your diet? How's your mental health? Have you been staying hydrated? Have you been going outside? Have you been working out and just like moving your body? Have you been getting enough sleep? These things are so obvious, but they're so easy to neglect and overlook because they should be givens. But when I thought about it, I was like, yeah, I'm not staying hydrated. Sleep is okay, to be honest. And like nutrition is probably fine too. But I have not worked out and moved my body in so long. And there's so many studies and everything, you know, that detail the benefits of working out and moving your body and exercising and its impact on mood and mental health. And it's so true. And yeah, I guess just like to my younger self or like to anyone that's feeling more sad than normal or just like more down or like low energy about life, like maybe do an audit on these small things that are like so simple to do but could really make a huge impact. Even things like practicing gratitude, like when I was thinking back to the times where I felt more content and more happy, I guess, they were times where I was practicing gratitude. I was waking up and writing 3 things I'm grateful for every single day. Before I went to bed, I would also listen to a meditation on Spotify for 10 minutes of just positive affirmations, and I would literally go to sleep listening to that and like feeling that in my body and everything. And I just feel like the version of myself in my head was just so much more positive and so much more of a light space. And I feel like it really showed in my relationships and how I just presented myself to the world and just like lived in my head, and it was great. And I definitely have not been doing those things, and I feel like some of that has been catching up to me. Okay, the second thing that I want to tell my younger self is about boys, about dating, about self-worth, emotional breadcrumbing. We've all been there. I would tell my younger self that Boys are pretty simple. You'll know if he likes you, and if you don't know or you're wondering and you're trying to figure it out and doing mental gymnastics to dissect his text frequency and what he's saying and all this stuff, then I'm gonna hold your hand while I say this. He probably doesn't like you. I just look back at the time that I spent on some people where now looking back and like actually even during it, I felt like I was wasting my time. And to me, it felt like I was giving them so much power because I was allowing them to seep into so much of my mental capacity. And I would just be like living life and doing random things and constantly be thinking about them, or they'd be in like the back of my head. And to me, it just felt like I was giving them power in that way when like they did not deserve that at all. And I think what made me realize that I was angry about that was when I started to develop better sense of my self-worth, because instead of feeling bad for myself and being like, why doesn't he like me? How can I get him to like me? What should I do? It turned into, wow, that sucks that he doesn't like me, and I feel bad for him for what he's gonna miss out on, because I know my worth, I know what I bring to the table, I know my values, and I can enjoy that for myself, and I'll be who I am to my friends and everyone. But if this guy doesn't want it, then he doesn't want it, and he doesn't know what he's missing out on. And I think as an anxious prone attachment style girly, and as a girl that gets attached really easily, it's so important to remember that there are other options. But I know that it's like so easy to forget that, and like it doesn't feel like that in the moment. But I just want to remind my younger self, or you, or anyone that is in this scenario, that there truly are other fish in the sea, and don't settle for what you know you don't deserve. Okay, I'm taking a hojicha break, and I have this in a Chamberlain coffee cup, which is very fitting, I feel like, because this feels like an Emma Chamberlain podcast whenever I do solo episodes. That's so good. Okay, before I move on to the next topic, I did just want to say, I don't mean to say that you're wasting your time and like harping on you for that. It's more so because I've definitely been there, and I know in the moment kind of doesn't feel like you're wasting your time. Like, it, you know, you're just going through an experience, and that's totally valid. And like, obviously give yourself that space and understanding to feel the way that you feel. But I'm more so just saying this as a reminder that you deserve so much more, you're worth so much more, and don't let some guy dictate how you feel about yourself, because he's really not worth it. Okay, anyways, moving on to the third topic, which is isolation and asking for help. We're really not meant to handle everything on our own. It truly does take a village, and genuinely people want to be there for you. This topic came up for me because recently, as I said, I've just been kind of going through it, and I am so prone to isolating myself because I fear that I'm going to be a burden to other people. I just don't want to trauma dump. And I don't know if you can even say that. I should probably look up what that actually means. But that's what it feels like I'm doing. And, you know, like when I think about if the roles were reversed, if a friend came to me and just opened up and shared what was going on in their life and how they were feeling, obviously I would not feel like it was a burden at all. Like, I would be so grateful that they trust me to open up to me. I'm grateful that they, you know, aren't afraid to reach out, and like I want them to feel helped and heard and seen, and like they had someone that they trusted to confide in. And I don't know where this double standard is coming from, but yeah, I guess this is really just a reminder to reach out to people, or even just check in on people if you haven't heard from them in a while. That literally always goes so far, and people appreciate it a lot. I know when I finally reached out to people to talk about what was going on, I felt so much better, even though like there's no immediate solution or correct answer or anything like that. It just feels better to get those thoughts out, and it's literally like these thoughts are using your brain and your body as a vessel and a vehicle, and they're just like thriving in there. And so when it's just stuck in your body and you're spiraling, can eventually consume you a lot. And I feel like when you talk about it and get it out, you're literally like speaking it into another vehicle of existence, and it's just like you're literally getting it out of your body. And I think before doing that, it doesn't feel like talking about it will help, but it doesn't hurt to try with someone that you trust. And I don't know, it may surprise you how much it feels like there is weight off your shoulders, because I think there's just something too about knowing that other people know. It just feels better. again, it's just like I feel seen, I feel supported, I feel like not in it by myself, even if I'm logistically in something by myself. Just knowing that other people know and like are there for you helps with the mental load so much. Okay, and then the next thing is about communication, and this is something that I've learned and picked up more within the past year, and that to speak in gratitude and not assumptions. I feel like it's so easy to make assumptions, and I feel like for me that's where a lot of spiraling happens and stems from. Communication is a huge topic, but the very specific part of it that I want to touch on today is to make sure that you're showing appreciation and gratitude for not just strangers, but like especially the people that you're close to, your family, your closest friends, people that you see on a daily, like your roommates, because those are the people that I feel like is easiest to take for granted. And I think when you take a moment to reflect and notice the small things that they do for you every day, not only helps build your appreciation for them, it helps your relationship, and it really makes the other people feel seen and loved. So for example, with roommates, if you notice that they cleaned up something, or you notice they took out the trash, or you notice that they cleaned up the space or vacuumed or whatever, even if it's their chore, just saying thank you. It's such a small act of appreciation, but it helps you to train your brain also to look for things to appreciate about others, and it also just makes them feel seen and acknowledged for their efforts, even if it's their responsibility. Yeah, just like small things that go such a long way. And this is something that I've been reflecting on recently, because small things that my boyfriend and I do for each other, we always try to make an effort to acknowledge it and appreciate it. And there's this phrase that people use when you say thank you to them, and when they say, oh, of course, it makes it seem like they were obligated to, or like they were supposed to do something nice for you. But in reality, it's like, no, it's not of course. It's like, thank you so much for doing what you did. Like, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, you didn't have to do that, but you did it anyways, and I appreciate you so much. And so whenever I thank someone and they say, oh, of course, I'm always like, no, like, actually, thank you, because it's not just of course, like, you really didn't have to do that. And then another component of communication that is also helpful is almost like over communicating in a way, more in the sense of people can't read your mind. So when you do something, being able to communicate what went into the thought process behind that is really helpful it's really helpful for maintaining friendships as well, because if you do something that, for example, could seem like it was leaving someone out, but if you just explain why they didn't get an invite, like say that they have work someday, or that they're traveling, and just saying like, hey, I like wanted to do this and wanted to invite you, but I know you're traveling, so like, sorry that this is happening. Just like, no, I want you to be there, but I'll catch up with you after you get back, or like another day, or something like that. It just eliminates the possibility for assumptions in that. But whatever scenario it is, just communicating thought process behind your actions can help prevent any miscommunication, any weird feelings in the future. I feel like it's something that is always appreciated. But I will say, doing that and trying to anticipate that kind of stuff for other people, it can be pretty tiring, because again, you can't read their minds, so you don't really know how they think, or if they'll even feel left out, or like whatever it is that you're trying to communicate more of. So that's kind of an art that I'm still crafting, but I think it's just a good place to start and fine tune down the road. Okay, and this kind of brings us to the last topic, which is do not lose hope, even when you can't see it, because progress is often quiet and invisible before it shows up in your real life. And I feel like this is something that I really need to tell myself right now, not just my younger self. It's so hard to sit in that discomfort of the unknown, and it's so easy to lose hope, but I think as humans, hope is fundamental to surviving. I think everybody needs to find their own source of hope, whatever it is, like nurture it and come back to it. I can't really flush out that much to this point because I'm still going through it, but all I know for now is that hope is very important. And right now what that looks like for me is prayer and manifestation, low-key, because there have been times where this is like kind of a silly example. I remember several months ago, I kept getting fed ads from Ana Luisa. They were actually these earrings that I'm wearing now, these little charms on hoops, and I thought they were the cutest things in the entire world, and and I wanted them so badly. I literally went to the Ana Luisa store and they said that they don't sell these in person, that they're only online. And so I waited a little bit longer, and then a month later I got a brand deal with Ana Luisa, and it was just so crazy to me how that had worked out. Like, that was the most random way that I thought that I would obtain these earrings, and I'm so grateful for that opportunity. Another example with collabs is I had been thinking about my suitcase for a while, because I've had this suitcase with me for many years and it was starting to break. I had been thinking about getting a suitcase for several months now, and then lo and behold, I got another collab with a suitcase brand, Level 8, and I also was just like, I don't know what's going on, but the stars somewhere are aligning right now in such random ways. Again, I know these are like kind of silly examples. It's just like so crazy to me that it happened. I'm not like the most familiar with angel numbers. I've looked it up a little bit, but I keep seeing 444 in my life. And to me, I think that means keep going. You're going in the right direction. It's just like signs that you're following the right path, and just like keep going. And so those are my little nuggets of hope. And I also just like know deep down that everything will be okay and everything will work out. Just need to take it day by day, even though sometimes that can feel really hard and heavy, but we are truly making our way through. And yeah, I guess moral of the story for my early 20s is that life doesn't necessarily get easier. You're definitely not going to have it all figured out by 26, but you've grown so much, and that is so invaluable. And all the lessons that you've learned, all the hardships, all the pain, all the discomfort, all the heartbreak that you've endured has led you to a point where you have developed more self-worth, more awareness of your values, emotional intelligence, identifying your priorities in life. And this is definitely not the end, and I'm excited to see what the future holds for all of us at TBH, because we really are all in this together. And yeah, I just hope that if any of you resonated with anything that I said, that you know that you're not alone, and as long as you're trying your best, just keep making those baby steps, and really everything will be okay, truly. Okay, well, I think that was a pretty short episode, but I hope you enjoyed, and thank you so much for listening. I'm curious, what would you guys tell your younger self? Let me know in the comments. Adrian and I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for being here. We will see you in the next episode, and with that, TTYL.